in the forest, the best quality, natural quality will be available. We can get it from there. So, and even like medicines like honey and other things, or even the steroids or whatever materials are available, right? Cotton, wood, timber, paper, rubber, all these materials are also available. The food, animal food like livestock or even the fish stock, right? All that are available from the forest. So we get a lot of materials. Then what is used? These materials, taking them and using them for our benefit is called as usage. Then what is over exploitation? Okay, these materials we get from the forest and we take them and we use them, we get benefited, right? And the same materials are available in good quantity. We leave that in the forest itself so that somebody else will take and enjoy the benefit, right? Even in the future generation people will take the benefit of that material. So that is normal, sustainable use. If we don't work on that, and if we start over exploiting these materials, like somebody wants to take timber and get benefited by preparing, manufacturing furniture and sell it and get materials or money, economy, and he would like to cut all the forest and develop the economy and become a billionaire or millionaire overnight, then it becomes a problem. That is against sustainable development, right? So any material, if we take it reasonable amount and leave it in the forest for the next generation, that is good, exploring the forest. But if we don't allow it for the next generation and we wind off, exhaust everything, and we take all the minerals, ores, whatever is there in the forest, land or on the plants or trees, and we cut them off and nothing is available for the future generation, that is called as overexploitation, right? So if we do that, what will happen? That materials will be lost permanently and it won't be available for the future generation, and they cannot enjoy the benefit, like it could be a medicinal benefit, food or energy or environmental safety or anything. They cannot enjoy it, so it will be permanently lost from the environment. So that should not happen, right? And then deforestation and its impact on tribal population. We have discussed this in modern agriculture technique, dams problems, like these whatever materials we use. We take the acquiring land area from the forest, and that could cause a problem, like acquiring a land area causes rehabilitation and resettlement of the people, if any agricultural practicing people are there. But how about the tribals, right? So tribals will be settled. Acquiring the land area not only for the dam, could be for anything like laying a road network from that area, or a railway track, or a construction of industries, or any other, industries, or economic development of a country or state. We acquire a land of the forest area and the tribals are surviving, they has to be resettled. We will give them some place to resettle, right? If we already said, if we give a place or a flat or a plot in a Banjarans or Jubilees, they will settle happily, right? We can rehabilitate them. We can give them a livelihood so that they can work or do some handicrafts or so on and so forth, and they can work on that. But if a particular tribals are displaced from their native place and kept in the city, they acquire all the culture of the cities, they lose their own culture, right? So loss of a culture is loss of a lot of materials or information for the society. Like they might have a good medicinal tricks or treatment, right, which they use natural environment materials, or they know some plants which can be used as a medicines for certain disease, curing certain diseases, right? So such kind of information which is carried from the parents to the next generation, or ancestors to the next generations who are working in that or who are living along in that tribal areas or tribe, will be carried as an information, oral information, like folks, right? So that form will be lost, that quality, that character will be lost, and it may be a loss to the society, right? They may have some good handicraft technologies or techniques, or even some good system or painting, arts and design, or even lifestyle or eco-friendly techniques which can benefit the society, which can benefit the environment, and simultaneously they get benefited. Such kind of techniques, if they have rules and regulations, they follow their customs, traditions, everything will be lost permanently, right? So if a culture is lost, definitely there will be a loss to the society, my dear. And in the world till now, nearly 5,000 cultures have got lost, that tribal cultures have lost, and people have lost a lot of information benefits to the society, right? So that is what. And then next is land as a resource, right? So do we say land is a resource for us? Can we agree? Yes, absolutely. We have discussed in lithosphere, land gives us many benefits. The first thing, I will revise it once again. The first thing is it's a base for us to construct, right? Houses, to work, to stand, to walk, to do work, to construct dams or anything, to lay a road, to construct railway tracks, airports, infrastructure development activities we can do only if the land is available, the base. Then whenever we are doing it, stays here because it has got a gravitational pull, right? That is why we are holded to the ground. Otherwise we will be floating in the air, right? Flying, or somewhere we'll be thrown in the universe, right? No people will be surviving in the nature. So that is a benefit. And then few more benefits we have, like it contains minerals and salts, right, which can be beneficiary for the plant development of the plant or growth of the plants, which in turn will have a vegetation. And benefit of vegetation, okay, it purifies the air, it gives oxygen, it decreases CO2, it maintains temperature, it gives rainfall, right? And all that. It maintains ecological balance, it maintains food chain, it is the primary source of food in the environment, because plants are the primary source, I mean the first source of energy, materialistic form of energy. So all these are nothing but greenery. And even the food production, crop, by the minerals, nutrients of the soil is absolutely needed, right? And what else we get benefited from the land? It holds the water, right? That is why a particular area gets civilized where there is a water hold, a lake, pond, river, stream, so on and so forth. And that is also helpful for the plants to grow and domestic, industrial and agriculture purpose. So that is also a benefit. Then the land will have fossil fuel, energy resources embedded in it, like coal, petroleum products, natural gases, all that will also benefit the humans. Then it will also have geothermal energy, right? The endowment of the land, also a benefit to the humans, right? So in this way, land gives us a lot of benefits. And one more important benefit of the land is taking waste materials and converting it into nutrients for the next generation of plants and animals. What is that? The decomposition process. Whatever waste, dead materials or waste materials are added to the soil, any dead body of plant, animal or waste what we throw on the land will get converted into the useful material, like useful what we say that nutrients, by a process called as decomposition, right? So which is done by the microorganisms. Is also one of the best process of the land. Why? Because think, if there is no this process, all the waste would have accumulated on the earth and earth would be stinking. But that decomposition process is converting that waste regularly into useful material and supplying fertility to the soil and food for us. So that process of reduction is called reducing the waste material, is the best process of land. So surely, yes, we can say without land we cannot survive. So land is a resource for us. And this land, is it remaining same, or it are we spoiling the quality of this land? Yes, we may be spoiling the quality of land. What do we call that process? It is called land degradation. What is land degradation? the loss of soil fertility or the quality of soil to support the growth of plant, and no plants will grow, that land becomes barren and it may turn into a desert land and it won't be of any use to us, right? So definitely that conversion of good land into a desert or a wasteland is called as land degradation, right? So land degradation means that. So how does this land degradation occurs? It occurs because of many factors, like we can say pollution, waterlogging and salinity, excess use of fertilizers and pesticides, shifting cultivation, mining, human-induced landslides, soil erosion, deforestation or desertification, right? So all these things will cause land degradation. First of all, what is land degradation, my dear? Land degradation means the loss of soil fertility, right? What is pollution? Addition of any waste materials to the land which can cause land degradation or cause land pollution or soil pollution. What is that pollution? Addition of material like industrial waste, liquid or solid waste, or domestic waste, right? Or even any toxic chemicals due to a spillage or accidental spillage, and then oil spillage. If any oil falls on the land, it degrades the quality of land. Then even we can say addition of plastic to the soil, right? What happens to this plastic when we throw it in the land? It gets broken, brittle, right? It will never get decomposed, but it becomes brittle and broken into pieces, and it becomes very minute particles called as nanoparticles, and then those nanoparticles are added to the soil, and that causes the mixture of the soil with these plastic nanoparticles, and they slowly enter into the living beings, plants and animals, what we call as biomagnification, and can cause diseases when they deposit in the living beings like animals and humans, and causes cancers, right? Cancer causing cell development and even cancer. So that is what the pollution, right? Which can degrade the quality and increases the toxic levels of the soil, and that toxic levels can cause no growth of the plant in the soil, or even if the plant grows, the plants will get contaminated with the toxic chemicals called as biomagnification. And then waterlogging and salinity, just now we have explained. Excess use of fertilizers and pesticide, we have explained it in the modern agriculture technique. That is, excess fertilizers, plant won't use them, it remains in the soil and causes salinity, excess salts, fertilizer salts, right? And degrade the quality of the soil, that is, water holding capacity will be lost and it becomes more water demanding. Pesticide, it kills the micro and macro flora of the soil, fauna of the soil, and can cause degradation of the land, because no living beings will work in that soil, and no decomposition, no addition of fertility. So that will cause land degradation. Then shifting cultivation. What is this? A piece of land you will be taken by the farmers, and they continuously do agriculture practice over there, which can cause loss or exhaust of all the nutrients present in the soil, and then the land becomes degraded, that it won't support the growth, and then people will leave that land and take another piece. So this is called shifting the cultivation from one piece of land to another piece, because the nutrients have lost in that land, and land got degraded because it cannot support the growth of plants, right? So what will happen to that leftover land? It becomes barren, and slowly it can become just like a desert land, and can convert it into permanent useless land, right? It won't be useful for the growth of plants. So instead of that, if they can rejuvenate by adding nutrients or a waste, biodegradable waste, it can get benefited. So that is how shifting cultivation can cause land degradation. Then mining. Mining is what? Mining means any mineral source are present in soil like bauxite, limestone, manganese, magnesium, iron, steel, gold, right? Platinum, people, diamond or coal or a fuel. People excavate the total land and filter it and extract the minerals which are present. Even radioactive materials like thorium, plutonium, also, and so forth can be extracted from the land debris, right? For that, what is the first thing they need to do? They excavate, they dig out the soil, right? So once they are digging, they are removing the soil and throwing it away. So once there is no soil, it won't support the growth of plants. So that is, mining can degrade the land. Land won't be useful for agriculture or growth of plant or beneficiary activities, except mining. It's a beneficiary, okay, right? And then human induced landslides. First of all, what is landslides? Displacement of a land or a movement of a land due to earthquake or landslides, that is vibrations, tremors, or even mudslides due to rainfall. A slope on the slope of the land, hill slopes or mountain slopes, that due to rainfall, that soil becomes muddy, right, semi-solid, and then it will slide down through the mountain, right? That is called as displacement of the soil or landslides, mudslides. So these naturally landslides can occur, right? Like whenever there will be like earthquakes or big tremors or volcanic eruptions occur, right? This movement of that piece of a land, and there will be crack on the land, or floods when occur, even the cutoff of the roads, and the roads will get displaced. That is also called landslides. So these occurs naturally, and humans activity will also cause the formation of landslides, like modification of the topography, change in the natural geomorphology of the land. When the land is available in some form, like mountains, hills, ridges, and plains, and all that, we, for our benefit, we would like to modify it, cut down the hills and lay a road or a railway track, or start construction of the buildings on a weak land that causes land subsidence. So in this way, landslides can occur, and even change of the water circulation or water direction for the construction of dam activities can cause liquefaction of the soil. Liquefaction means what? I said, when you put some clay soil in the water, it remains as a lump. But when you put a lump of sandy soil, right, in the water, it doesn't remain lump. It becomes particles. Soil particles will get dispersed in the water. That is liquefaction. They won't stand firmly together. They just distributed in the water. So in that way, the land becomes very smooth or loose, and then it gets moved for settling. That is called as land displacement or landslide. And then land use changes, how we are using the land, and aging of the infrastructure, like dams or big buildings or roads. Then due to floods or earthquakes or collapse of these buildings, the jerk will occur and the land will get displaced. That all of a sudden the upper layer of the land will go into the ground as a sinkhole. That is also called as a landslides, and displacement of the land causes degradation of the land because no soil is available. Then soil erosion. That is, what is soil erosion? Removal of topmost layer of the soil is called as soil erosion. It occurs because of water or air or rainfall or the slope of the land. What is happening? It is the removal of the soil topmost layer. So that layer of the soil will be displaced, which causes removal of the soil. No availability of the soil means no plants will grow. So land has got degraded. Then desertification. Desertification means what? It is also a factor which causes land degradation. How does it causes land degradation, desertification? Right? That is, what is desertification? Conversion of a fertile or a normal cultivable or agricultural land into a desert land. Earlier it was a normal agricultural land, but because of land degradation, it can get converted into desert land. How? Land degradation. That is, no trees will grow and soil will become loose by pollution or waterlogging and salinity. Run of Kutch is a desert land because of waterlogging and salinity. Earlier it was a very good fertile soil. So that is a desertification example. Excessive use of fertilizers and pesticides, shifting cultivation, mining activity, landslides, soil erosion, all this will cause land degradation. And if that land is not treated again, not rejuvenated, if left like that for longer time, then it becomes a deserted land, right? And few more other activities which can cause a deserted land, like loss of vegetation. If there is no plants and trees, there is no root system which can hold the soil firmly and hold moisture and develop fertility, then soil becomes loose enough and it will be lifted from place to place and becomes a sandy soil or desert land. Then the loss of vegetation occurs due to overgrazing or forest fires or deforestation. Overgrazing means what? Overeating by the animals, grazing animals like livestock, right, which feed on the small amount of ground. Huge amount of livestock herd is there, which will not allow plants to grow on the land, and they eat away all the greenery. Then it becomes a barren land, and even continuous forest fires occur.
And any doubts, please stay back. Remaining students attend the next session. Your next session is, I think,
the forest
yes.
fires are high intensity of the temperature, doesn't allow any greenery to grow.
Thank you so much.
Nature, and that can also cause desertification and deforestation, that is cutting down the trees continuously, not allowing them to grow, and acquiring the land and using it for our benefit, and after it gets spoiled we leave that land, can also cause desertification, right? So these are some of the examples of land desertification and land degradation. Next topic is energy resources, right? What is energy resources? Energy resources means any material. Energy means any material.
50 plus times I told this.
Is called as
50 plus times.
Energy.
Each batch of 4 times.
And resource means which is
more than 100 times I have written the code. That's why I am able to modify wherever I want. So మీరు ఎన్నిసార్లు ప్రాక్టీస్ చేస్తే అంత గుర్తుంటుంది. ఒక్కసారి వింటే గుర్తుండదు.
Available
ఓకేనా? So thank you so much students. See you again in the next session. Please enter your attendance in the chat box.
So these energy resources are broadly categorized into.
And any doubts, please stay back. Remaining students attend the next session. Your next session is, I think, yes.
Non-renewable means conventional. What does renewable means? Renewable means
thank you so much.
Material which can be renewed again and again, which will never get exhausted, inexhaustible, available every day, regularly, right? And abundantly in the environment, nature, that is called as renewable material. Like we can take the best example: sunlight, air, wind, and water. If we are using the total amount of sunlight trapping today, and we just wind it off using total sunlight, will it be available again? Yes, tomorrow again there will be sun rays and sunlight is available. It is never ending process. Every day the sunlight will be there. Sometimes in the off season, like in the winter or rainy season, due to high cloud cover, it may not be directly available, but definitely sun rays will definitely occur every day. Day starts because of the sun rays only, right? Similarly, water, whatever water is available in this year, and we use it all, total water, again the next year, in the rainy season, water will be available to us. So definitely that is renewable energy, right? So that is called as renewable energy. Similarly, what we have is next, non-renewable energy sources. Non-renewable energy sources means the sources which will never get renewed, which gets exhausted and completely winded off if we start using them at a faster rate. Why they will never get formed? Will they never form again? No, they form. That is why they are available in the environment. They form regularly, but the rate of formation is very slowly. That is, they form with a period of time, that is 100 years or more than 100 years they take to form that energy source, right? So that time is very slow. That is why they are called as non-renewable, right? They are not soon available, not formed very quickly, right? So what are the examples of non-renewable? Coal, petroleum products, all these are non-renewable energy resources. So what is that coal, petroleum product? They are also called as fossil fuels. Why do we call them fossil fuels? Because we feel that they take 100 years to form, and what we are using have been forming since 100 years by the living beings which are buried deep inside the ground, right? Like we say, these dinosaurs and big trees and big mammoth, other elephants, living beings which got buried. So how does it forms fossil fuel energy? When any dead material, any animal or a plant is dead and lying on the land, it gets decomposed, right? We see it gets vanished within few days. It gets decomposed and converted from complex to simpler form and added as a nutrient source for the soil. But when it is buried deep inside the ground, there is no microbial activity, so no decomposition. But because of the high temperature and high pressure of the land, that gets converted, right, into combustion and get converted into other form of energy. Energy can neither be changed and neither be created, nor be destroyed or created, right? So it changes from one form to another form. So the energy which was there in that dead material, either it could be plant, tree, or animal, that energy is getting converted into other form, that is coal, petroleum products, and compressed natural gases, right? In the process of that, under the ground, buried at high temperature and pressure as a process of combustion, right? So that takes hundreds of years, because we are using this now, which have been maybe formed hundreds of years before by the animals which are fossils. So we call that as a fossil fuels, right? And what is the benefit? Do we get any benefit? The most important benefit of using fossil fuel is it is very easy and quickly can be used. Like you take a petrol, pour it and ignite, it will catch fire and it can burn and give heat energy. Same with the coal. Easy. But carrying, transportation is also easy, and acquiring, that is mining, and we take it from the ground. Easy. Whereas once it gets used up very quickly. That is, it takes hundreds of years to form, but within short time we can burn everything very quickly. It gets depleted, exhausted soon. And once it is being used, it generates huge amount of pollution like carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, oxides of sulfur, and nitrogen, which can cause acid rains, ozone layer depletion, and even global warming, right? So all that problems will arise, and environmental problems will occur because of the usage of fossil fuels, and they get depleted and not available for the future generations, right? So for that reason, we need to stop usage of fossil fuels to protect the environment and to protect these fuels for the next generation. We should shift to something which can be very good and clean energy, available regularly, abundantly, which will never get exhausted. That is renewable energy or non-conventional energy. Example: solar, wind, hydropower, geothermal, tidal and wave energy, biomass energy, and hydrogen energy. Solar energy, what is solar energy? Sunlight, right? Sunlight can be trapped and can be used as a source of energy. Sunlight is considered as a diluted form of energy in the olden days, and people never used it, right? How diluted form we can say? Because if I want to use the sunlight today, I have to trap that sunlight on some material. So I will keep a best conducting copper plate and it will get heated upon. What will be the temperature? Nearly the maximum temperature of the day at 35 or 40 degrees, which is no use, because while conducting, a part of it will be lost to the environment, right? So it is of no use, very small amount of temperature called as diluted form of energy. So once people started concentrating the solar energy, they started using solar energy very well. So what is the method of concentrating solar energy? The method is using a glass and trapping the solar energy. When the sunlight falls, when the sunlight comes from the sun, it comes in the form of shortwave radiations, and when it falls on any object, it gets converted into long wave radiation. These shortwave radiations are very energetic and they're strong. They can pass through any material, whereas long wave radiations are weak. They cannot pass through the glass and they get trapped inside the glass. So that is how we can concentrate solar energy. I will give you a simple example. If in the summer days, if you park your car in the hot summer and go for shopping or anything and come back and try to sit immediately in the car, you feel more hot, right? Inside the car will be very hot than the outside the car. Car is placed on the road only, but road will be less hot compared to the environment inside the car. Why? Because once we close the windows with glass windows, the sunlight, the shortwave radiations enter into the car and it gets converted into long wave. They cannot pass through the windows glass, so they get trapped inside, and the temperature of the inside the car will increase. That is the same phenomena people started using, and they trapped this by sunlight and glass, and converted energy photons by photovoltaic cells into electricity and started using it, right? But it is little bit costlier, viability and efficiency has to be increased. Next is wind energy. For this, wind is needed. How does wind generates? Because of wind currents, that is the difference in the temperature of the air due to the wind breeze, that is sea breeze and land breeze, or the wind below the cloud will be colder and denser, and exposed to the sunlight will be hot and lighter. So that can cause wind. And wind mills are needed, which contains wind vanes, which rotates and associated with the turbine, and the turbine moves and the mechanical energy is developed, which is converted into electrical energy, right? So that is how wind energy can be used. And hydropower, we discussed it in the dams, right? Turbines will generate. And then geothermal. Geo means earth, thermal means heat. If we bore a hole into the deep underground, we will find magma or molten lava, right? Which is nothing but hot liquid, and that hot heat can be used as a source of energy. Directly we can't get the lava because it will melt everything. So we bore a hole, lay a pipeline and pour water, and water gets warmed, heated upon, converted into steam, and that steam can be trapped and used for the various methods techniques to generate heat energy, right? So that is geothermal. Then tidal and wave. The tides are generated in the oceans because of the gravitational pull between moon and earth, and they can be used. And similarly, waves are generated because of the ocean currents, the difference in the temperature. Ocean current generates waves, and surface tension also generates waves, and even the disturbance in the water can generate tides and waves, which can be used to run the turbines, and the turbines can generate the energy, right? Mechanical and electrical energy. It is not more efficient, but now the research is going on, and it is also called as ocean thermal energy conversion, that is OTEC. That means it is thermal energy, solar energy, indirect form of sun energy, because the temperature causes these waves, right? That is what. And biomass, bio means life and mass means weight. Living weight of any living being is called as a biomass. Living weight means my calories. Calories of a tree or a person or an animal is called as biomass energy. So biomass means if a tree is there, it is wet, it cannot be used, but when it is dry, it can be burnt and we can get the heat energy, and that is called as biomass energy, right? So this is biomass energy. So all the dry plants or dry paper, cotton, all is made up of wood or from the tree. So they contain a dry biomass. When we burn them, they give heat, which gives us heat energy. And wet biomass means same material like biodegradable waste or animal waste can be degraded, decomposed, fermentation, and we can get biogas plant fermentation by bacteria like Saccharomyces cerevisiae or Pseudomonas, and then we get gas over there. What gas we get? Methane gas, CH4, which will be the best useful material gas, like clean gas having good amount of calorific value, but it should not be released into the environment directly because methane is a greenhouse gas. But if we trap it and burn it, it is a clean gas, gives like negligible amount of pollutants, and leftover sludge and slurry is a fertilizer, contains very good amount of nutrients, right? So that is what the best example of wet biomass. And last one is hydrogen energy. Hydrogen means, yes, we know we can get it from water like hydrolysis, and it is a very clean energy, and once we use this hydrogen, the exhaust will be, byproduct will be water, but only one problem, that is it is highly inflammable and can vehicle carrying a cylinder of hydrogen, if it meets with accident, it can cause a hydrogen bomb explosion over there, and all the people will be in trouble, right? So that is what energy resources. And then we will go to the next topic, that is ecosystem, next unit, right? So if you have any doubts in the first unit, you can raise, I will explain, or else I will start the next unit, that is second unit. Still we have 20 minutes. I will just explain it. First few introductory parts of this. This is a very small unit. Okay. So no response, no doubts. I will take this second unit, ecosystem. So what is ecosystem? Ecosystem is derived from a term called as icos, or a cell, or a house, right? Just like our house where we live in with a boundaries, right? So how do we live in a house? We construct a boundary walls and a door for entering and windows and ventilators, right? Are we living in a totally closed system? No, we can't live. We need to have windows and ventilators and a door, because the air should come in and out. Why? Because we need oxygen and we cannot generate. So we take the oxygen which is coming from the outside world. So we are connected to the outside. Even if we are living in a four-walled closed system, it is not totally closed. It is connected with the external environment like ventilation, air, and even the light has to come. Then the door is provided because we need to go out and get our basic requirements like water, food, energy, clothing, everything comes from the outside world. Where is that source of outside world? It is the plants and trees which are there in the environment, right? So we live connected with the environment. We cannot live separated, totally separated. We cannot say that, okay, I will go into a house, I will arrest myself totally and I will survive. No, we can't survive more than 3 days. Why? Because we need water. We cannot live without water more than 3 days. We need food, we need air, we need light. Even if light doesn't fall, people will die. Right? So all that is possible because we are connected with the environment. So this is the concept of ecosystem, right? What is exactly ecosystem? It is nothing but relation and interrelation between the living and non-living things, how they are related to each other. That is ecosystem. The concept of the ecosystem is no individual living being, independent living being can live isolated, separately, independently on his own. He has to depend on the materials for his survival, on the environment or outside world. That is the concept, right? What is that materials? It could be a living or non-living material. So we live in connection with the other living and non-living beings so that we will survive. Otherwise, people would end up their life. Like that is ecosystem. Then structure and function of an ecosystem. What is structure? How does an ecosystem looks like? It contains materials. It is the relation and interrelation. Right? It is the linking and interlinking. It is the dependency and interdependency between the biotic and abiotic, or living and non-living. Living means biotic, non-living means abiotic. What is that living and non-living things? I will explain that, right? So abiotic means non-living. Biotic means living. Oops. Right? So what is this? Abiotic means? Yeah, here is that. So biotic entity, bio means life, right? Here is the biotic components. Bio means life. Biotic means possessing life, having life. They have life. What is life? The animals which can reproduce, which can grow, which can move, which can stimuli to the respond or respond to the stimuli, respiration, metabolic activity, they are called as living animals, right? So living beings like plants and animals and microorganisms. So all they are called as biotic. Abiotic means abiotic. Bio means life, or doesn't possessing life. Abiotic means absence of life. They doesn't possess life is called as abiotic, right? Where life is absent is called as abiotic. So what is there are abiotic living beings in the nature. Abiotic means the non-living materials, like we say they can be categorized into two non-living things. They are the climatic factors and edaphic factors. Climatic factors include all the factors which describe weather and climate in a particular area. Like we said in the last drought topic, we said all the meteorological factors, right, are climatic factors like rain, light, wind, temperature, cloud cover, humidity, water vapor, all that. Then edaphic factor means the materials like soil, right? Soil or pH, minerals, salts present in the soil, topography of the land, all that is nothing but edaphic factors. Similarly, biotic components are, we have plenty like plants, animals, insects, microbes, vertebrates, invertebrates, reptilians, amphibians, aquatic animals, aquatic plants. So it's a big difficulty to distribute or discuss in that way. So we have simplified them, right? We have simplified them into three groups, that is on the basis of energy, that is the materials which produce energy, the living beings which produce energy, and the living beings which consume energy and which convert the energy. On that basis, we have converted them or distributed or categorized them into three, that is producers, consumers, and decomposers. They are of three types, that is producers, consumers, and decomposers, right? So what are producers? Producers are also called as autotrophs. Auto means self, trophos means feeders. Because they produce their own food material, they are called self-feeders and they are autotrophs, right? Like all the green plants which can prepare their own food material by trapping sunlight and minerals from the soil and water, they can prepare the energy, right? So what is required for the producers to prepare energy? Sunlight is needed, which is abiotic, non-living, right? Then the water is needed, which is again abiotic. Soil is needed, abiotic. Minerals are needed, that is abiotic, non-living things. So plants depend on the abiotic, biotic depend on abiotic, right? Then the consumers. Second, consumers mean they consume energy. They are heterotrophs. Hetero means others. Trophos means feeders. They feed on others, are called as heterotrophs. Like they are again depending on their level, they are again categorized into four groups: primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary, and quaternary consumers. Primary consumers are direct depend on the plants. They are plant eating animals which are called as herbivores, whereas secondary consumers are flesh eating animals, carnivores, and they are the first level of carnivores like cat, dog, fox, so on and so forth. They are called as primary, first level of carnivores. And then large carnivores, tertiary consumers are large carnivores, that is wolf, cheetah, leopard, hyena, which feed on these and the herbivores, right? They are large carnivores. And the quaternary carnivores are top carnivores. They are the largest animals like lion, tiger, which feed on all these like tertiary, secondary, and even primary herbivores. And out of this quaternary, some are omnivores. Omnivores and enti, which feed on both plants and animals. These are consumers, and they depend on plants for energy, producers for energy, right? And then decomposers. Decomposers are the one which can convert the dead material into useful nutrients. Whenever a plant or an animal is dead, these decomposers can convert that into useful material of nutrients to the soil for the next generation of the plants and animals. And where that nutrients are going, they are going into the soil. Soil is again abiotic. So soil is dependent on nutrient content on the biotic, that is decomposers, and they are also called as saprotrophs. Sapro means rotten, dead. Trophos means feeder. They feed on the dead materials like bacteria, fungus, and protozoans, nematodes, insects, right? All that scavengers are decomposers. So this is the structure of an ecosystem. Then what is function of an ecosystem? Just now I said the plants depend on water, light, and soil minerals on abiotic. That is the function. They are related to each other, right? Then the decomposers depend on, soil depend on the decomposers. That is, abiotic is dependent on biotic, right? Biotic plants are dependent on abiotic. So both are related and interrelated. So that is called as dependency. And interdependency means within themselves, like producers depend on consumers and consumers depend on producers for energy, and decomposers depend on producers and consumers for energy. Climatic factors depend on edaphic factors. That is, if there is good topography, the land formation, mountains and hills, there will be different type of climate, right? If the soil contains moisture and good minerals, that will allow the plants to grow and it becomes a very good climate, right? And if soil doesn't contain minerals and it becomes a deserted soil or land, it becomes a desert and climate will be different. And even the climate is very hot, drought condition, no rainfall, then even the soil, good fertile soil, can become a desert, and the type of topography will also change. So both are interdependent and dependent. That is called as function of an ecosystem, how ecosystem is functioning, right? How a ecosystem works. So dependency and interdependency. Then how these producers and consumers and decomposers are dependent on each other, that is, they depend for the source of energy. So how does energy flows in an ecosystem? What is the primary source of energy in the environment? The producers generate energy from where? What is the source? Photons is the source of energy. What is that photons come from? That comes from the sun, right? So sun is the primary source of energy, which is trapped by the producers' plants, and they generate the energy and they pass that energy to the next level, that is consumers. And in this process of conversion of energy from producers to consumers, a part of energy will be lost as heat to the external environment, and then from the consumers energy will come to the decomposers. Even from producers and consumers energy comes to decomposers, which is that last stage. And from there energy is converted into nutrients, inorganic nutrient pool, and added to the soil. Soil is again an external environment. So energy is always present in the environment, either in the sun or in the soil, and it gets circulated in unidirectional. It never flows in the river direction. It flows in the unidirection, that is from the sun to plants, from the plants to consumers, from the consumers to decomposers, and from the decomposers again back to the environment. This is called as energy flow in an ecosystem. Next topic is food chain. What is food chain? I'll just define it today and I'll explain it tomorrow. What is food chain? Same thing, flow of energy in an ecosystem through various trophic levels, that is producers, consumers, and decomposers, is called as a food chain. And these food chains are of two types, that is grazing type of food chain and detritus type of food chain, right? Grazing type means grazing animals, plant food chain, which starts with the plants and end with the large animals. And the detritus means dead food chain, that is starts with the dead animals, dead organisms, dead material, and through various organisms ends at the large animals. This is detritus type of food chain. We just said producers to consumers is grazing type of food chain, and the decomposers food chain is detritus type of food chain. I will explain it in the next class. Till then, take care. Right? If you have any doubts, you can raise. I will explain, or else I will take the attendance. This is ECE C, right? So I will directly write down the attendance looking at the numbers absent here. First number is 121. First one is absent. So I will write these numbers. 121 is absent. So, yeah, 22 is present, 23, 24 absent, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 is absent, 30, 31. 53, very good. 44. 48, 49 are absent. 51, 52, 53, 55, 56, 7, 8, 9, 10. 62, 63, 64 are absent.
Sir, 148 present, sir.
Just a minute, ma. Only after 76 is absent. 7, right? 78, 80, 180 are absent. Yeah, I will call the absentees number. If anybody is present, just respond to that. 21 is absent, 22, 124, 29, 48. 48 is present అన్నారు కదా.
Yes, sir.
Right.
122 present, sir.
22 is present. నేను చెప్పిన నంబర్లు వినండి ఖచ్చితంగా. 21, 23, 24, 29, 49, 62, 63, 64, 76, 78, 79, 180. These are absent, right?
78 present, sir.
78. ఓకే 180 కూడా ప్రెసెంటా? ఇక్కడ కనిపిస్తలేదు. అచ్చా, ఓకే, నాట్ అప్డేటెడ్. రైట్, 180 is also present. So done. We discussed the SIL definition of food chain. I will once again explain food chain. Don't worry about it. So now I will take the leave. Take care of yourself. Right, ma. Right. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.